Welcome to the International Oscillators Attack Release Hour.
Third episode.
Episode 3. Cat breath, what are we doing?
Seems like a real thing now. We got to keep it going, I guess.
I guess so. We're in high demand. I've gotten, several people have asked me, when's the next one? What are we doing? Who's doing? Not only that, but we've got several requests to participate on the show. What did you think about the last episode? A little interview action going on.
I thought it was
How'd
great.
you feel?
Yeah, I thought it was great. Yeah, the interview, even the conversation section, having everyone there together was super enlightening and definitely something we're going to keep doing. We'll continue to invite the artists on and pick their brains about their process and their gear. So looking forward to this upcoming episode. We've got two great artists, D-Tron and Turismo Blu. Can't wait to show these videos to everyone. They're pretty great.
These two artists, I feel like over the last year and a half, I've gotten to sort of get to know D-Tron's music a little bit more. I've become more, he's a daily poster on social media. I see a lot on his Instagram. He's got some Bandcamp action. And with Turismo Blu, like he's someone that I think, around last summer, maybe last spring, I started noticing some of his videos online. And this guy can really just make some music, and he just blows your face off every post he makes. I'm pretty surprised by. We got 2 10-minute sets of exclusive material once again tonight from these two great artists.
So D-Tron kind of comes from my neck of the woods. He's in the Pacific Northwest also, on the other side of the border in Vancouver. I would describe his music, it's kind of chill, down-tempo, even maybe a little synthwavy at times, but really smooth, really well produced. He's got a wide range of pretty interesting gear. Definitely an up-and-comer. D-Tron last September released an album called Menagerie, and it's one of my favorites of the year. I think on one of the previous episodes we said, the amount of work that International Oscillators artists are putting out, you can listen to only International Oscillators artists and be just fine.
And get your fill.
Yeah, I've got his album on pretty on repeat pretty often. Particularly, it's great to kind of work too. So excited to see what he has for us today.
It's been like a pretty hot month for a lot of people. Netvio put together a prompt list. And I gotta say, D-Tron has been relentless. I mean, every day we're seeing something from him. January 22, January 23. Like he's pumping them out and they're quality. Like you can tell he's taking his time. He's working on them. Like you said, he's got that lo-fi, little synthwave kind of sound. He's working, almost entirely with hardware, like DAW-less jams on hardware. And he's always, he's mixing it up. Some days in a row you'll see like he'll work on like 1 or 2 instruments that he features. But he's always got something different going on, something new. And I'm always surprised at the quality of his work. D-Tron, Vancouver, British Columbia. He puts the international oscillators. So one of the many. So yeah, you want to kick it off and listen to his 10-minute set. This is D-Tron with exclusive material. You've heard it here first. Holy cow.
So that was amazing. Wow. I'm blown away.
Can you feel it, Cat Breath?
I can feel it. I hope that he releases that track. It was amazing. I love that kind of started off with that like lo-fi warble at the beginning. He's got vocals in there, a lot of really amazing guitar pedals. Yeah, I was blown away. That was great.
Yeah, the sound, the songcraft really is something that he has a mastery of. I feel like the entire track, and I didn't expect to get one track, but he brought us on a bit of a journey, but still kept that core vibe of the song while switching it up in different parts of it, where I felt like, each part I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be the verse and this is the chorus. No, he keeps going and going and going. And he did it in this way that made me feel like totally focused on the tune. It drew me in and kept me there. And that build up in the beginning, the vocals, I didn't expect any vocals from him either.
And I didn't either. Yeah, that was a nice surprise.
Murdered it. He absolutely murdered it. It makes me feel like I got to step my game up.
I'm feeling the same way. And I'm thinking, wow, like we got some pretty good talent on this show. One thing, yeah. I can't help but notice a few things too in the video. First of all, that was such a well-organized studio space. Like, I'm envious of that. This is one of the issues with the world of modular too, like wires everywhere. And I'm in a little like corner of my kitchen, but that was a beautiful studio setup. We'll have to invite him on again because I'm pretty sure I saw one of those, I think it's a Moon Armada noise making babies in the background.
Yep, that's right.
Well, I want to see that in action also.
Yeah.
Maybe a future episode.
What a smooth tune. That just like the vocal melody in the beginning, it was very enrapturing. He drew us in just right away. And like I said before, every day you always get something beautiful from him, something quality. And he's working with a good variety of hardware there, Usually we see some pocket operators and OPZ and a Micro Freak and some of his posts. But here, I think we got a Korg mini log, or what do you think that was?
Looked like a mini log. Yeah,
a
a little
mini
solo
log.
on the mini log.
Yeah.
I know that he's got the Roland TR6. I want to say 6S, which is I'm pretty sure it's a new acquisition for him. I want to get one of those.
Yeah.
Seems pretty fun.
And you notice he's sequencing with it. He's got the beat step going on. He's got, I believe it's the vocal bass, the vocal FM synthesizer, and the sample. So he's got a triad of Korg action going on, and those pedals are quality pedals. He's working with.
Nice. I've got a few of those, and they're good ones for sure.
What has he got working? The T120 tape echo. It looks like an Empress reverb.
I saw a Walrus. Looked like a Walrus Julia.
The Julia. Kind of that's right.
Vibrato.
Strymon Blue Sky and that Chase Bliss Thermi, I believe you pronounce it. And you saw a little bit of the action at the end. He focused in on it, and you got some pretty wild sort of modulation on the sound that he was working with. Just well done all the way around.
Well done. And and this is what I'm saying. I mean, this songcraft that we saw here, check out the album Menagerie, because it's the same quality, right? And it's a whole album of eminently listenable tunes, also just very, very I'd say sharp focus on songcraft in general. Definitely I appreciate.
And you can grab that on his Bandcamp, and we'll have links below in the description of this live stream. So you can check out obviously D-Tron's social media accounts and his Bandcamp. But we always like to plug Bandcamp, obviously, because
definitely
we want to, these are independent artists that work really hard to showcase their talent, and it's always great to support them to the fullest extent, and not just 0.00001 penny per stream.
Exactly. I mean, it really, I'll just say, it means the world, right? We're not, I think most of us here, obviously, to make money or something, but there's a lot of validation that goes along when people are buying your stuff, and it makes you want to keep doing it. D-Tron is also a pretty big supporter of all of our artists. I saw my tape on his shelf also, so thank you, D-Tron, for picking that up.
Yeah, nice shout out to Cat Breath on the shelf, Cat on the Shelf, and we can't leave this unsaid. My man is sporting an old school Electronic Curiosity Collective t-shirt. What do you think about that one, Cat Breath? Does that bring back memories?
It brings back memories. I love seeing that logo out in the world. Yeah, and on the topic of, all different kinds of music, we've got kind of it wasn't even down tempo, you're right. It was pretty up tempo, but really kind of chill, a little bit lo-fi. But then what we have up next is a pretty big change from what we just listened to as well. So again, we're all about diversity of our artists here. So super pumped to listen to our next artist.
So we got Turismo Blu. Turismo Blu is from the Detroit area. Are you ready to get your head blown off by this wild shit we're about to play?
I am.
Because I haven't watched this video yet, but I anticipate madness to the nth degree, and the kind of madness that just makes me want to move. I'm super excited to watch this video with you.
And the video especially, the music is one thing. Turismo Blu's music is great, but we talked about D-Tron having that songcraft, but Turismo, he goes all out for the video craft piece of it. So if you're not following him on Instagram, do it now, and you'll just be blown away every day that he posts something.
Absolutely. Turismo Blu, I believe, put out an EP last year in the summer, and it's called Artificial Paradise. It's an EP. It's available, I believe, and I don't know if it's on Bandcamp. I think he does have it on Spotify, Apple Music, that kind of thing. But he does have a single. He had a new single come out in October of last year, in the fall. I believe that one's called Eater Repeater. And that is a face splitter in and of itself. Just the single alone, that break beat, that break core style that he likes to tear into sometimes. Get ready, put on your seatbelt. Let's go.
Here we go.
What a face melter.
That was a face melter. That has everything I love. It's got, I mean, the visuals are great. It's like the whole acid house aesthetic is amazing. But then the stutter and the glitch and the kind of the beat repeat, like I love that stuff. I wish I knew how to do that better, but
Yeah, T-Boo is a master at that. My goodness gracious. I mean, he took us to another plane of existence. With all these different styles too. He took us on a breakbeat journey, a drum and bass journey. I mean, we got some, I don't even know how to describe that last track. Acid glitch core. What do you even call that?
I was gonna say it's like an acidy like Aphex Twin or something. I don't know.
Right? There's some elements in there that are sort of your old school style of jungle and drum and bass and things like that. But he takes it to a different level, and he adds his own flair to it. With these visuals, it's like it's an experience. Turismo Blu, it's something that you plug in and connect to in a different way. It hits different, as the Gen Z kids say these days. That track slapped. There's no doubt about it.
3 songs, and yeah, it's a lot of genres we went through there, kind of all mixed together. I love this sort of like washed out, almost like burial-esque vocals that are in there, also vocal samples. So it's a whole package.
Absolutely. Everybody talks about Turismo Blu's calling card is sort of, he's got a cat on a synth, right? And I imagine that for him, that's like, okay, great. It might get me some folks checking out my videos and whatnot. But this man delivers on so many levels that there's so much more than meets the eye with his visual aspect. Every time I catch a track that he puts out on Instagram, or when he puts out a single or whatever, I'm just blown away. I mean, this guy's always got something new and fresh to deliver for us. And I feel like he's got a little bit of that Detroit element in him too. Like, there's a love of, and you see it in some of the hardware he works with. He's got a lot of the stuff that goes into your classic Detroit techno kind of music.
I know I've seen him with he uses a Behringer 808 clone. I think he's triggering samples on that MIDI keyboard too.
Yep.
I don't know what else he uses a lot of 303 type. I think he's got like the TB3.
The TB3 bass, the Roland. That bass synth ends up in a lot of his videos. The SP808, I've seen him work with, and the Monologue as well. Behringer D. He's worked with a couple clones, a couple different vintage-looking, hardware synths. But he has a mastery of the trigger. He has a mastery of the sample. He just knows what he's doing, and you can see how comfortable he is. He's moving with his own music. He's rocking out to his own music while he's playing it, and it just feels like he's in the driver's seat. In Turismo Blu, we're in a sports car. We're driving through Detroit down on 8 Mile. I don't know where he's actually from, but we're going 100 miles an hour with these tracks. So yeah, check out Turismo Blu's accounts. Check out the links below and in the description below. Plenty more to discover from Turismo Blu, and you'll be surprised at, like what you saw in this video and what you heard here. He expands on all of this and then some. So one thing that we started doing with the International Oscillators Attack Release Hour is we've taken on a new part of our show, which is to interview our fine guests that have graced us with their exclusive content, where we get to interview them. And once again, we've had the privilege of recording a Zoom interview with Turismo Blu and with D-Tron. How do you feel about getting into the interview section of the video?
I'm feeling good. Let's bring them in.
Cool. So welcome to the interview section of the International Oscillators Attack Release Hour. Woo! Look at you guys. Why don't you tell us who we have today, Cat Breath?
Well, today we've got Turismo Blu and D-Tron, both members of International Oscillators. Great to have them on our third episode of Attack Release.
Yeah, good to be here. Thanks.
Cool. So glad you guys can join us, and we're excited to pick your brains a little as well. So yeah, I don't know if we want to start off just talking about a little bit about where we all come from. Maybe you want to go around. D-Tron, you want to tell us, what kind of music you make, and where in the world are you hailing from?
I live in Vancouver, British Columbia, in Canada, up north, a little north of Cap Breath, I believe, other side of the border. But I actually grew up in Hong Kong. I moved here 2.5 years ago, and spent most of my life in Asia, kind of doing the music thing over there. Been in live bands since I was about 15.
Oh wow!
Yeah, quite a while. Discovered synths like 5 or 6 years ago with my first Volca. And it has escalated quickly from there. Now since I've kind of been doing the Instagram thing for a couple of years now, met a bunch of you guys, kind of found this community, which has been a very cool place to kind of keep things going. It helps keep you motivated and inspired, and helps kind of keep you connected to what other people are doing. It's like an audience from home, right? You can just do these little shows and kind of connect with people. And I used to play live shows quite a bit. I love doing live shows. Even before we were all locked down and couldn't do live shows, it was something I was kind of doing less anyway. So it's a great way to kind of have people actually see what you're doing, which is surprisingly strong motivator for keeping it up, and having that feedback, just making more.
We've been inspired by a lot of the posts that you've made on Instagram and other places as well, YouTube, and I believe you have, and we'll post some links below for people to check out more of your work. Turismo Blu, coming to us from the future, it seems as though.
From a digital void created in Max MSP. Yeah, I'm Turismo Blu. I'm based out of Detroit at the moment. I'm originally from Detroit. Although I will admit, I did most of my growing up in Colorado Springs, Colorado. I make both kinds of music, country and Western. For anyone that doesn't know, I've been doing music under this moniker since 2007. 17. If you were to go back and look at my music from that era, it's quite different than what you're hearing now. Before that, I was in like crust punk and metal bands.
Oh, Ryan, that's great.
Like the guy I was in a band with started getting into synths. Like he bought one. I hope he bought it and didn't steal it from the pawn shop. I'll say that. And we had some fun with it. And I took to it way quicker than he did. So he always wanted me to play it and do some stuff with it. And we went out on tour in New Mexico before I had to, we went our separate ways. He had a Volca Beats and he's like, dude, you need this. But like, you need to take this. And I had no clue how to use a drum machine. My dad had samplers back when I was a kid because he was in bands too, but I'd never worked a drum machine. And I don't know, it just kind of escalated from there to the craziness it is now.
So we've got both of you finding your start with some Volcas, which I think is many of our gateways into the world of synths.
For sure. And funny you mentioned like your bandmate. Like I was in a rock band, so I was a bass player, and my bandmate was
wow.
Again. So I want to segue to this other weird connection that me and Damien have. So I was playing in a band, rock band, really not much synth going on. And we had a few kind of bands out there, friends that we knew. So I got my first Volca, which kind of coincided with me meeting this guy named Ben Bridges, who he was kind of in a few bands, but he was this kind of crazy synth guy. He has this insane synth collection, like way bigger than my understanding of synth at the time. So we actually asked him to come and jam with us and just kind of show us sort of how he was kind of showing up to do guest spots in this other rock band and just kind of adding some synth flavor every now and then. So we thought, let's talk to this guy, see how we can kind of cross over a little bit, like, get the guitars and the synths working together. So yeah, he came and had a few jams with us, kind of showed me, like, I was such a noob with the Volca. Like, I knew nothing. I was like, I needed it to be as simple as possible, like input amp, like I could barely even my own Volcas out.
Right.
So yeah, he showed me some real basics, and it turns out that Damien, Turismo Blu's working with him now. And this like kind of weird roundabout way, from other sides of the planet. He now probably talks to him more than I do. I don't know.
So T Blue, you actually you carried the torch, the synth torch over. So you guys both got started with the Volcas. That's interesting. I used to play bass many years ago and still do sometimes, but that was my main instrument. And I got into synths again because I got a Volca sample. Given that, what are after you've probably played with quite a few of the different Volca series, do either of you have a favorite, or is there something that stands out to you in the Volca series that you guys like to play with the most?
That same friend that gave me the beats recently got a Volca FM the last time I saw him. And I was surprised by the quality of sound and the sort of power that had. Some of the Volcas I don't care for, but that one, I was right. The beats that I have, the bass drum, awesome.
Yeah, right.
Hi-hats, all right. The snare, that's not a snare drum.
No.
You have to mod it. You got to mod it to get the good snare out of it.
It's totally like I find that you can't really use the beats on its own as a drum machine. Like you can kind of sprinkle it with some flavor on top of something else. And I agree, the kick is pretty beastly. Hats aren't bad. Everything else not really very usable. I don't know. I can't choose which one I like the best, because they honestly have like good uses in different scenarios a lot of the time. The one that I'm kind of like, I feel like is the simplest one and can still crank out great stuff in surprising ways is the bass, which actually you don't.
The really original one, huh? Not the new bass?
No, the original one. I have not. The new ones, the drum and the new bass are the only ones that. Oh, and the modular. I don't have those three kind of most recent generation ones, so I've got mostly the OG one.
I have the new bass. I bought it expecting it to be more of a 303 clone, which it isn't. It's got some awesome power on its own. I just want to sequence it externally. It's nothing wrong with the sequencer, but to get it to make this kind of sounds I want, I have to use something else.
Yeah. I find that that's a big part of it too for me with using those Volcas. Like they're fine. You can definitely do quite a bit with all the stuff that's on board. But this the beat step right here is like the friend to Volcas. Like honestly, like it's kind of perfect to hook up something to the drum channel and 2 more Volcas to the synth patterns. And that's actually what I did my show with the stream that I sent you guys. So it's that plus some vocals on top, and that was pretty much about as much as I can handle at one time anyway. You know, like
Yeah.
2 parts of the drum and then a little vocals and some pedals and stuff, and that's kind of enough for me. Otherwise it starts to fry my brain a little bit.
Do you go into it like with a plan of what you want to do? Like, have you thought out like, you know, melodies or anything like that? Or do you just kind of find inspiration when you're sitting in front of the gear?
Yeah, I usually don't plan stuff out. I usually make something, you know, if you're watching a recorded thing, I usually practice that. And I even practice, I made it up and then I recorded it because I'm usually recording me experimenting with things. When it comes to actual songs, I do a lot of resampling, like sampling of things, and then I'll take bits I like and sort of chop it back up. I'm really inspired by the work of William Burroughs with cut-ups, of cutting up random things and rearranging it. So a lot of times what I'll do is just as randomly as I can without using randomer things so that there's still some sort of subconscious element to it, trying to pick out randomly things I like and make things out of that. And I've been going less for melodies and more for changes in like space and feeling really quickly. Reverb is one of the things that does that. Normally a big reverb will put you in a big hall or something like that. But if you change that to something really short and something in between and reverse them, you can get some very strange effects, which makes you feel like you're changing space rapidly.
I think I don't spend a lot of time on the writing part. I don't necessarily go in just totally free-form jamming, but I'll probably sit and do a chord pattern and a sequence at least as a kind of the fundamentals and get started on that, and then just kind of let the pedals do stuff to it. And I don't necessarily know what it's going to do, but if it sounds good, it's like boom, keep it.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah,
and that's kind of what I love about the Instagram 1-minute format is not having the pressure to create a whole track. Just like that tasty, you know, hook of a track, or maybe a one build up to kind of get you into a groove, but not really necessarily sweating out like a whole structure or anything like that. And I kind of think people are happy to just have that little chunk, the little nugget. Like they don't necessarily want to go on that whole journey with you from start to finish in that Instagram environment. But so I try to start, finish, be done, including like throwing together whatever minor video editing, hour tops, like just to keep it moving.
Right.
And do not worry. Like if it's not perfect, who cares? Like no one's going to remember this in a day and a half, right? And just I find that really helps the productivity, just keep things rolling, not being too precious about anything. Totally different approach though to like album writing, and
sure.
I think you sit down thinking, okay, this is something I want to build up. I don't want to have time pressure. I don't necessarily want to get stuck taking forever either. But yeah, it's just a different. Not so much you're one and done. You want to think about how the whole thing goes together. And I don't know. I think they work really nicely as like counterpoints to each other, like the Instagram thing of just quick jams and getting them out, and then thinking, okay, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to sit and write something for real now, and just a whole different process to that.
That brings up the whole thing about Instagram. I saw an interesting post about January. You know, obviously it's January right now, of whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, right? For me, because you feel like not forced, but like you have pressure to create something as often as possible, but little things. And I like that personally because I use that as a way to really kind of experiment with my gear, learn new things, and then I will go back when I'm in album writing mode. But it was an interesting kind of point and a question. Do you think the whole January or 1-minute jams, how that impacts your songwriting in general? Do you find it, D-Tron, it sounds like it's been a positive for you, but I'm always kind of curious to see how it changes the way you make music, and the way that like Ableton changed the way I make music, where it kind of puts you into a template of sorts that can be hard to break out of sometimes. So it's interesting to see how people engage with Instagram, if it's pushing them forward or, becomes almost, too much pressure or annoyance or something after a while.
I think January is a really good thing. For one, I'll just start. If you're an Instagram user, you need to be posting every day to have a chance. If you don't, people forget who you are. Unless someone really likes you. And if you're not posting every day, Instagram makes it even harder for that person who likes you to find you. So it encourages people to start posting every day. And you may not need to post every day, but at least once you get into that habit, you can start to have more of a social media presence. I see a lot of people that are really good, but don't have the drive. Like there's people that were around last January that they don't have accounts anymore, or I don't know the last time they posted because I forgot their name.
Right.
I'm sorry to that person, but that's how. But also, it's really good as an artist perspective. Just so that, I think a lot of people get too perfectionist. They get analysis paralysis. Is this going to be the right thing? When if you just have to put something out every day, you might put out some shit. The other day, I was very intoxicated. I'll say that, and I thought it'd be a good idea to take a lock groove record and my drum machine at the same time. Which if I actually had turntable chops and wasn't wildly intoxicated, probably would have been a good idea. I still put it out there because, hey, and some people really liked it. I don't know why, but good on them.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of us are probably kind of built for this type of January thing anyway, where we're just kind of constantly jamming all the time, right? And I think, doing it every day, it definitely does kind of turn up the heat a little bit. In that you kind of, and I think maybe this is more self-inflicted, but you kind of like you once you started, you want to complete it. You don't want to you don't want to miss anything. But there's a lot of people that are just kind of doing it pretty much every day, all the time. I mean, some guys live January all year long, and I don't know if it's part of them building their social or if that's just who they are and they just want to be doing that all the time anyway. So I don't find it troublesome. I find it kind of fits nicely with what I do anyway. For me, it's more like I get to think about it more as a complete set of a kind of work that goes across the whole month. I think if it is stressing you out, then that's probably a problem. Don't make it stress you out. It's supposed to be fun. And I sat down the other day. I'm kind of doing a setup this month where I don't think I could. The Netvio is doing all these prompts this month.
Right.
And I think you're doing them Prole.
Trying.
I see that would be a kind of a roadblock for me because I kind of want to go in with a bit of more freedom and knowing that the time is limited. I don't want to get stuck on something that might not necessarily come naturally.
Right.
So I think that's a bit of what I kind of went in and spent a few days before it all started in December, kind of thinking, okay, I'm going to spend a week on like one setup, and then a week on another setup, and just do that 4 times to get me through the month. But yeah, I mean, I was thinking like one part of my setup, which I don't use nearly enough, but I kind of love seeing other people do, is a lot of tape deck stuff. So I have a 4-track tape thing here. I'm not very good with it. I sat down and I was like, okay, maybe I'll spend a week on this. An hour later, I was like, forget it. I just got blocked, and that's when I decided, no, we're going to do Volcus. Volcus is easy. So I'm doing a week of Volcus this week, and my new drum machine. But yeah, I mean, I think the productivity is just something it's going to be part of why you're doing it anyway. I would have thought.
Sure.
And if it so I think in terms of like what was Kat was saying, like is it potentially a bad thing? I think it's a bad thing if you feel like it's stressful or if it's putting pressure on you or it's kind of removing the fun from it, then that's definitely not the purpose. But I think most people wouldn't really get into it unless they were already having fun doing that kind of thing.
I was just gonna say, it brings up a good point of don't take it too seriously. Like T Blue was saying, like the perfectionism is. I found myself last week working on a jam for like 3 hours because I couldn't get it right. It's like it's a 1-minute video. Who cares? Who cares? Like you're learning new stuff.
Don't fall into that trap.
I always have to kind of remind myself.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a trial by fire element to it. Like it forces you to try some new things. And that's kind of like why I jump into those prompts, because I say to myself, this is going to push me way outside of my boundaries. So let me give it a shot. And I can learn. There are some things that I've learned this month and last year as well that it's just not going to work. Like you tried the tape deck situation, and it's like I think it was yesterday, the day before, the prompt was bossa nova beat, and I was like, I'm going to make this like dark sort of like horror movie score, ambient, dark ambient thing. But in some ways, it also, when it does work, you're able to catch something about your system that you haven't tried before, and you think, oh, that might be something worthy to explore when I do write an album, or when I am intentional about I want to put together a full song or whatever. Do you guys find that like sometimes when you get into that experimental realm, it opens up a whole new avenue for you that you didn't sort of see before, and in terms of exploring to write some long form music?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the shorter jams I have made, I made it as a 1 minute thing. I was like, oh wow, that's a great 303 line, and that now becomes one of like my staple songs I play all the time. Or I think the last thing I finished my set with is a thing I made that I'm never making one of those again because of how hard it is to mix. It's like an experiment of how not to do things, but it's cool, But I was like, okay, I gotta make a song with this. Like this rack is a song. I threw it together rather quickly with some parameters, but it's a thing now. The quickness definitely opens up a box of creativity for me.
I think if you're a little blank, then a prompt is good.
Right.
If you're not really sure where you're going to go with something, or you kind of didn't really have a plan going into it, then a prompt and just seeing where it goes is totally good. I kind of, especially when like a time like this when I know I want to be productive and get a lot of them done, and then kind of want to avoid that burnout feeling of things getting frustrating. I'll tend to kind of keep it in the comfort zone, I guess, when that's happening. But I find, and I don't know about you guys, like, and maybe this isn't the way it's supposed to be, but I get a lot of inspiration just from the gear, right? So if I just decide to sub in a different piece of gear, that's kind of enough to push a whole bunch of new ideas up. And every synth or every module or whatever has got its own kind of flavor and different type of music that it feels like wants to come out of it. Yeah, I mean, just changing up a pedal, changing up a different delay, a different verb, a different sequencer. Even what you got your hands on, like what you're actually manipulating. I feel like can definitely just push a bunch of ideas, and that's not necessarily coming from a creative place. That's coming straight from the hardware or whatever the actual tech is, in front of you. But it's great. I mean, I think that's why like a good gas is not necessarily like a bad thing, except for your bank account. But like,
right.
it does breed creativity, and it does keep new stuff happening. So that's why it's a hard one to argue against getting that new piece of gear. Like it is probably going to be something you create with.
I never argue against that.
Yeah.
I'm no longer buying anything new. I got my Behringer RD8 new.
Oh yeah, we saw you posted about that, didn't you?
Yeah, I bricked it, and then I got another one.
Are you serious?
Yeah, because Sweetwater. Thank you. I forget my sales rep's name. Sorry. Thank you for
throw props out the Sweetwater rep.
Thanks for sending me another one. And they fixed. You got to update your firmware, and it shouldn't break how I broke the last one. I still need to do that. But I treated myself to the SL Mark IIIs, what I'm jamming on. And a nicer mixer and some monitors. But after that, I'm just buying used because it's not worth it. Like I just bought a used TD3 from someone else in International Oscillators.
Oh yeah.
Why am I going to spend $200 to $300 on the brand new thing when I can wait 10 months to a year for someone to give up on it, and buy it for half, or go down to the pawn shop and get some used piece of gear that's, I don't know, maybe got a beer stain on it or something. I got a Sun mixing board, 16-channel 1973 Sun mixing board for $18. I was the only one that bid on it.
Wow.
I could have gotten it for $1.
Probably less. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm trying to do more trades and stuff now as well, and not just buying everything new. Like I actually just got myself, and I'm going to be using this next week. The Roland Boutique SEO2.
Okay.
That's a nice.
Which is it's just, man, I've had a few jams with it. It seems like a beast. But I was not prepared to throw down the full price for that, and I just, the gear situation, it bums me out to have gear sitting collecting dust.
Right.
Like it just feels like a real waste, and someone else could be using it. Or there's probably a reason I'm not using it, which means it just doesn't work for me for whatever reason. So I traded in another boutique synth for that, and an old Space Echo pedal, not the big one. I had the little stomp box version. I just never quite clicked with it. I don't know. The verb doesn't sound that nice to me, or at least on the box version. The delay was good, but I've got other delays I like better. It felt great. You get a huge whack off the price. Someone else will probably get it in their rotation. I got a really good store down here that's great for trades and selling used stuff. So I don't know. I like kind of that recycle, of like the hardware and then putting it back out there, and not just accumulating stuff in boxes that doesn't get used.
So we've talked about kind of, we're all gearheads, kind of what gear inspires us and how it inspires us. What about, are there any music scenes or bands or anything like that you found a lot of inspiration with? Blue, you're from Detroit. Are you into Detroit techno and that kind of stuff?
When I moved back here about 5 years ago, I made it a point to figure out like what Detroit techno meant, like the electro scene, JIT, footwork, a lot of the stuff that goes on around here. And that is a big influence on the sound. My dad gave me the Beastie Boys book for Christmas, and the Beastie Boys, not just as rappers, but musically as a whole,
instrumentalists,
have been a huge inspiration for me. The first record I ever got, I was 11. It was Paul's Boutique, like the vinyl record,
right?
And I used to steal my dad's Hello Nasty CD all the time. He actually had to buy a second copy because I lost it. And like reading the book, it really made me realize how much of their sound inspires what I do. You probably don't hear it on a lot of the more electro stuff, but a lot of the more ambient stuff I do and the way I go about things is definitely inspired by what they were doing.
Man, I love live music generally. Like Vancouver normally is a great city for live bands. We get a lot of the guys who are doing, the US tours will come up here and we'll get a look in. We had so many gig tickets this year.
Yeah.
That had to get kind of tossed. My wife and I both, like we we're at the point where we don't necessarily go out that much anymore, but we make time to go to shows. That's our thing, and I will watch anyone. And I kind of prefer a medium-sized venue. I love the vibe of a medium-sized venue. Big ones, you'll see a bigger band, but I just don't like that kind of.
The sound systems are too overwhelming. It's like they don't.
It's hard to sound good.
It's hard to hear. Yeah.
Yeah. The older I get, I don't want to be necessarily in the middle of the crowd at the front. I'm also pretty short. So, like I like to be up on a balcony with a really good view of the whole stage.
Yeah.
Any kind of live scene is great, and I've never really been so much into like the electronic scene for live shows, but I think it's it'd be great to explore. It's a whole different thing. I think I'd probably be now like trying to see what the guys rig is like,
right? Yeah, looking into it.
Yeah, I'd be geeking out on the hardware. Sure.
What were your 2020 concert tickets that you all bought at the beginning of the year that you missed that band? What bands were you so sad to?
I missed Front 242 was the big one for me that
we had tickets
to see them again. I don't know, but
we were going to see Emil and the Sniffers. That was what I was kind of psyched about. We had some bigger ones too, and they're escaping me now. There was about 5 shows that we had tickets, bought way ahead of time.
I was going to buy tickets to Square Pusher, but then everything happened. So I had to say something about what D-Tron was saying. I really agree about a live scene being inspiring, but I have actually had great success with just the opposite in isolation. When I moved back out to Detroit, I wanted to be in metal bands and whatnot, but no one gave me the time of day. I'm not from around here. They don't know me.
What's wrong with them?
So I was like, well, fuck it. I guess I have to do electronic now because I have to do it all myself. By doing that and rather reaching out through a scene through the internet, I found a lot of great success. Coming back from Colorado Springs, I had a very strong local scene, just like what D-Tron was talking about.
Right.
But just the opposite can be just as inspiring. And that's one of the reasons I didn't have any concert tickets, because I kind of gave up on going out, and I'll just like try and make myself better rather than go and get drunk and see band I like. Rather, I'd try and open for them.
No, actually, you know what? I'm with you on that too. I did play in bands for a long time, and we did okay. We toured a bit. I played at South by Southwest in 2010.
Nice. Wow, that's great.
And me and my bandmate were fully involved and engaged with it for a long time. And like, it's gonna sound lame, but I got older and I was like, I don't really want to do this anymore. Like, carrying my shit around is
that's why you got to get so popular that other people will do it for you.
Yeah, but I mean, that's a level that's hard to get to.
It's hard to break through, yes.
And like I said, like, we did all right. We probably could have done stuff to push it a little more even, but you know, that step is a big step to take, to the point where you know, you're kind of not really doing so much of all of the other stuff in the background. So when I moved, I was like, I don't want to join another band.
Right.
I was pretty much like set, like I'm good to do this alone. I'm happy to do this at home in this room, you know, and you know, going back to what Cal was saying, and I mean, I can't say enough about how great it is to be part of a community like the International Oscillators. Like, that is very inspiring, because we're still connected when we're seeing what each other are doing. We can talk about stuff that's nothing to do with music. So there's definitely like that social thing, but you kind of feel like you're with your people. And even though, you know, we are wherever we are. And I think genre wise, like, we're all over the place. Really no like hardcore, like, oh no, you're not doing this type of techno right or whatever. Like,
there really is no gatekeeping. Yeah.
No. Yeah,
in fact, we're the opposite. We're like, Turismo Blu, when are you coming out with the next Acid Crust album? That's what we really want to hear, brother. So let's talk new music. Hey, you guys I know that D-Tron, you got an album coming out, or you run one right now called Menagerie. Is that right?
I put that out towards the end of last year.
That
was late September, I think, something like that.
So that's your current release. You can get that on what, Bandcamp or Spotify or?
Yeah, it's on all of the stuff.
And I recommend you do that. That's one of my favorite releases of 2020. Like, I go back to that all the time. So
appreciate
definitely that. We'll leave a link and people need to check that out.
And what about you, Turismo Blu? You got an album in the making, which is something that's out there now, or what?
Yeah. I had built up some tracks for an album I was going to call Flavor Trip. And some of those I sent over to Ben in Hong Kong. Some of them I'm still holding on to, because a Detroit artist called Hal, I think he's represented by Detroit Underground Records. We're going to do a split vinyl release out of Archer Records here in Detroit. We both work in the hospitality industry in Michigan, and we've been getting hit hard. So financially, this project's been getting pushed back for a minute now. But that's something I want to get done this year. I've wanted to self-release some more stuff, but with so many small labels hitting me up for material, I feel like that'd be rude. You know, someone hits me up asking for tracks, and I say, "Oh yeah, sure," and then just post something and not give them anything. So it'll be some time before some stuff starts rolling out, but I do have it all in the works. A lot of breakcore stuff, some of the more classic acid techno stuff. I do make a lot of more ambient stuff. Another International Oscillators member, Letters from Mouse, has a radio show on Ad Wasp Radio, and I did a set for them last year that only I have. I'm planning on putting that out, and along with the other material I made for that. It's
awesome.
Canada worship, to keep it short.
Thank you, guys. It's just what a pleasure getting to know you a little bit more, and
see you guys.
Excited to see you in person like this, and and of course check out the links in the YouTube description below. Like and subscribe, and follow these guys as well. Go on their Instagram pages, check out their smash that like button, hit subscribe.
Yeah, put my name in Google search. Do it now.
Yeah. Google Turismo Blu. Google D-Tron immediately.
Thank you so
Right.
much, Prole Volt and Cat Breath, for inviting us on and doing.
Yeah, I
this.
really appreciate it. It's great to talk to you guys. It's great to see
love
you.
these segments. I'm hoping to see more and more expanded content from the international oscillators in the future.
What a great show. We had D-Tron and Turismo Blu. We got to pick their brain a little bit, learn a little bit about where they come from. What a hell of a conversation. I mean, we really dug deep with this interview and got to know them in a way that I didn't imagine going into it. Great content from both of them. I'm looking forward to the next one, Cat Breath.
Me too.
Awesome. So what do we say?
We say keep on oscillating.
Ooh.